Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for asking. So, Alex, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your job and about your workplace. I hope you're okay with that.
Yes, I am.
Good. So, tell me something about the job that you do. What sort of job is it? What sort of workplace is it?
Well, I am a customer service supervisor at Woolworths.
That's good.
So my job is primarily to serve customers.
Mm-hmm.
So I will help customers with their shopping and do refunds and exchanges, and also just scan their groceries. But my job also entails organising my other team members, so telling them what jobs to do, when to send them on the break, that sort of thing.
So, what are the main skills that you use for your job? What are the skills that you use as a supervisor in your job?
Well, I think there's a lot of different communication skills that I use as a supervisor and just as like a customer service person. I think the most important one would be to be able to adapt to different people in different situations.
Okay.
So the way that I would talk to a young person or someone my own age is very different to the way that I would talk to an elderly person.
Yeah.
And similarly, the way I talk to someone who's in a very happy, very good mood is very different to the way that I talk to someone who's very, aggressive and, not in a good mood at all.
All right. So basically, using communication skills with people who can talk to you and you can explain your point to them and they can explain your point. But in a scenario where a person comes from a non-English background, how do you deal with them? What sort of communication skills would you be using with a person who cannot speak English?
Okay, well, I am actually spent a bit of time in China last year, so I am lucky enough to understand what it's like to be communicating with a language barrier.
Okay.
So I think the most important communication skill to use there is patience. Like you just have to be very patient with the person and also to be able to understand from their point of view and see that it's actually probably very frustrating for them as well not to be able to properly communicate. So I will make sure when I'm speaking to someone of a non-English speaking background, I will speak very clearly, very slowly. I will use a lot of hand gestures, facial expressions, and body language so I can try and communicate what to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will also really try and pick up on any sort of cues that they're giving me. So I'll look at their body language, maybe they can say a few words in English. I will try and also use visual aids where possible. So
Okay.
I may point to a product, or I may sometimes act out little situations, or I take them physically to the product to see if that's what they wanted.
So basically, you'll be putting all these into a non-verbal communication skills.
Yes, the majority of those, yeah, would be
Okay.
non-verbal.
All right. So what happens when there's no communication or lack of communication within a team?
When there is no communication within a team, it pretty much becomes a very confusing and frustrating place. So in my team, in my role, I am the supervisor. So I have the managers above me and then also the rest of the team members, and I am kind of the link between those two things. So it's really important that the managers communicate to me really effectively what their needs and what their wants and aims and goals are for the team, so that I can then pass on those goals and aims to everyone else.
Okay. So who do you think would be responsible for having that lack of communication within the team? Like, who do you think is at the fault, or whose fault is it when there's lack of communication among your team?
Well, I think we all bear some responsibility to ensure that we are all communicating effectively. But I think the majority or the most responsibility, I guess, would fall upon the managers, because ultimately it is their role to make sure the rest of the team is on track.
Okay. So what's your reaction as a supervisor when there's lack of communication? How do you react to the situation there?
Well, I guess, to be honest, I will become very confused and frustrated, and that often makes me a very impatient person. So, to be honest, I often find myself, I might be yelling at other team members, being very short, not telling them properly what their roles are, because I am very confused and frustrated about what my manager wants of me.
So that pretty much brings a lot about communication skills to me, about the verbal and non-verbal communication skills. And Thank you so much for that.
No worries, thank you.